Hi, I'm Lance Henrickson. You're watching Bryan Lomax Movie Talk. Don't turn it off.
Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk and the final day of Patron Week. I know it's been 8 days, not 7, which is, a little bit longer than a week. But hey ho, there you go. Now, this final video for Patrons Week is a Q&A that I opened up to my patrons over on my patrons Facebook group. So asked my patrons just to, if they wanted to ask whatever questions they want for a Patron Q&A. So let's get into it. First up is Glyn Parson, who asked, what are your thoughts about the more adult-themed Batman animated films? What are some of your favourites, and do you have issue with them altering the backstories / mythology in many of them? First up, I will say I don't have a problem really with them meshing it up, just as long as they're faithful to the core elements of that story that they're adapting, because you can't condense in like a 2-hour movie, or even an 85-minute movie as often these are. It's, multiple strands of comic book. I mean, look at Death of Superman. That went in so many issues, so many comic books. If you really wanted to adapt that, page for page almost, kind of like the way that Zack Snyder did for Watchmen. Well, look at Watchmen. Watchmen's like 3 hours, and that was just the theatrical cut. So yeah, I don't have a problem with them changing things up, just as long as they're faithful to what that story was about. As for what I think about them in general, I think I like them. I buy them all. I've got them all back there on a shelf. Just, yeah. I buy every single one of them. I am more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy. And obviously a Batman guy, so if Batman's in it, I'm going to get it. But no, I like what they do. I sometimes think that because they've got that, more R-rated version, or the 15-rated if you're in the UK, they push some things for the sake of it, maybe, shall we say, but it's not that big a deal. No, I do like what they've done with it. I like that they've recently wrapped up the whole New 52 stuff and can now move into other areas. I'm still holding out for a Nightfall adaptation. We got the Death of Superman, Reign of Superman double feature. I'm really hoping we get one for Nightfall. That is kind of my holy grail when it comes to comic book adaptations, I guess. Favourites, I would say, my favourite of this range that they're currently doing, because otherwise I'd say Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which isn't part of the whole new range they do, it's part of the animated series. But of the new stuff, Wonder Woman's actually my favourite. I will just state that. The film they did, the animated film for Wonder Woman, I thought is still the best. But Batman Under the Red Hood, the Dark Knight Returns two-parter, when you put them together as one movie, and Batman vs Robin, I thought was really good. I also really liked Doom, although it's not been released in the UK, which is really annoying. It's the only one I don't have in the collection on Blu-ray, because it's the only one they for some reason haven't released. I don't get it, but I have seen it through other means, but that's what I've been driven to. So yeah, I like them. I look forward to them. I think maybe they're a bit rushed now and again with the animation. The animation isn't proper, fluid, but they have certain budgets that they have to stick to, because when you're doing something straight to DVD, you don't get that mass audience that you might at a theatre. It's a very kind of niche audience, and these films don't make that much money. I looked into it. You look at all of these DC movies, these animated ones, if you put them all together and get the box office, what they've made through DVD sales and Blu-ray sales, it doesn't even come close to being to making as much money as the lowest grossing Marvel movie. So put that in perspective, we've had 30 odd of these things now, 30 odd, and yeah, so they don't make that much money. So I can understand they've got to keep them down to a certain budget, but I like them. Long-winded answer, but there you go. Next up is Jack Petrie, and he asks, would like to know about how you got into directing your video shorts. Have you done work on this career-wise as well, or do you do something unrelated as your main line of work? So the video shorts, I presume he's talking about there, the ones that I have posted on my channel. Yeah, a few short films. Way back when, I look at them now and I'm like, oh, I do cringe at the technical insufficiency with regards to my skills as a filmmaker back when I made them. But yeah, in the mid-noughties, mid-noughties, I made a few films. It wasn't really part of my university degree. I did a degree in media with TV production. I mainly did it because you got free access to equipment. So for me, getting a degree at the end of it all was kind of secondary to being able to have access to all this kit that, if you wanted to rent it, would cost you thousands. If I was to rent it as much as I actually used it. So what I did when I went on my university course is I took that kit out every opportunity I got, and I made films. I did all kinds of stuff. Me and this girl who were real good friends, we kind of sort of set up our own company in when we were in uni, and we actually got a DVD produced and put out into the shops, which was, yeah, it was quite fulfilling, to say the least, back then. Again, look at it now and I cringe, because from a technical aspect, I know I can do better. Yeah, I went from there and did a master's degree in television production. And since then, I've set up my own production company. It's a very small production company. We're not talking big scale or anything. We've put out a few little films, mostly documentary stuff. But yeah, that is what I do full time. That is my business. So mostly kind of corporate stuff, things like that. But wherever I can, I try and get involved in narrative filmmaking. That would be my ideal situation, would be doing that full time. But obviously that doesn't pay. So yeah, no one cares if you want to make your, little film classic that may only be a classic in your mind. So yeah, I hope that clears things up. It is what I do. I want to do more of it, but at the moment life is a bit hectic with a family and lockdown and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, if you want to see the films that Jack is talking about, as mentioned, I presume it's these ones, then do check them out on my channel. One's called Michael, another one's called Underneath, and there was another two, but one of them I've only made available for patrons just because reasons. But yeah, I hope to make more someday. Next up is Jason Nike, and he asks, what direction do you think they should take the next Predator movie, and who would be a good fit to direct a Predator movie? Honestly, I don't really know who would be a good fit, because I would have said that Shane Black would be a good fit. I'd have said, what, Shane Black wants to direct a Predator movie? Hell yeah, give it to him. I still like his Predator movie, but it is probably the weakest, not counting the AVP stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Matt Reeves would be a great choice. When you look at what he did with Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, a lot of that took place in forests, in the jungle. It had a very kind of militaristic feel to it. I think if you took that aesthetic and threw a Predator into the mix, then that'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? Crossover, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. No, Planet of the Apes with Predator. Oh, imagine that. A Predator coming down. There you go. That's the direction they should take it in. And I think they're both owned by 20th Century Fox. So, cracking stuff. There's your next movie. Get Matt Reeves on that. Bring a Predator or a ship of Predators down and have them face off against the apes on horses. Great stuff. That would be... Obviously, that's never going to happen. If you want a serious take, I would like to see... to be honest, I'd have liked to have seen Adrian Brody come back into the franchise in some fashion, and we don't really know what time period his movie took place in. We just know that he and the other people got abducted. So I don't know. I think I would like somehow to get him back to Earth, and have a bunch of Predators in tow coming after him. Maybe he's, I don't know, stowed away on a ship, or learnt how to, or commandeered it in some fashion. He's got a cannon to a Predator's head or whatever. I don't know. This is on the fly, so it's sounding really crap, to be honest. But somehow get Brody back to Earth, and have him be almost like the Ripley character, in which, you know, he's been through it, he knows what he's up against. People don't necessarily believe him, and it doesn't help that the Predators do a really good job of staying undercover. Maybe a lot of the deaths surrounding them are being linked to Brody's character, so the police are after him, the authorities are after him, whatever, they think he's a maniac. And then eventually, obviously, they start to cotton on that, no, he's right, he's telling the truth, and blah, 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 writes itself. I don't know. There's a reason I'm not writing a Predator movie, I guess, but that's a few ideas off the top of my head. Matt Reeves, Dawn of the Planet of the Predators. Boom, there you go. Finally, we've got Jordan Moran, who's asked a few questions. I say finally, he's asked quite a few questions, so let's get into him. Which movie makes you the most uncomfortable to watch? It's a tricky one to answer, I think. I honestly don't really know. Now, I watched the opening sequence of Irreversible, and I was out. I had to turn that off. It was just too real for me. That I've never gone back to that, so I guess that. But I don't know. Uncomfortable. What makes me uncomfortable? I watched Blue Valentine just last night, actually, and that was quite uncomfortable to watch, just because you see this marriage disintegrating, and you can see the inevitability of it, and it's just like, but I don't know, again, even so, uncomfortable, I don't know. Arachnophobia, I don't like spiders, so arachnophobia ain't a particularly comfortable watch. I don't know. Anything sexual, I guess, would like rape, things like that. I think Deliverance, there you go. I remember seeing some of Deliverance when I was a kid. It got to that one particular scene, and that stuck with me. I don't ever want to see that again. Favorite rom-com? I got a few. I think I like a good rom-com. Frankie and Johnny is probably up there for me. Crazy Stupid Love is definitely up there for me. La La Land isn't really romantic comedy. It's a romance movie. There is some comedy to it, but maybe stretching it a bit there. I don't know. 27 Dresses, I have a bit of a soft spot for. probably shouldn't admit that. One Fine Day is a good one. But I think the one that instantly springs to mind is Frankie and Johnny. That's the one that's always stuck with me. Big fan of Michelle Pfeiffer, certainly was in the early 90s. And I've seen Frankie and Johnny a fair few times. But as for more modern ones, I'd probably go with Crazy Stupid Love. What would you ask Roger Deakins if you met him? So for anyone who knows, Roger Deakins is, of course, my favourite cinematographer. I don't really know. I think I would ask something along the lines of, when was the last time that you came to a set or came to a setup not knowing what you were going to do and maybe not panicking? I guess someone like him, he's been doing it so long now, probably doesn't panic. It's probably why he's so good at what he does. But when was the last time you came to a setup and thought, I have no idea how I'm going to do this? And how did you deal with it? How do you manage those kind of situations, if they even occur these days? Like I say, I mean, he's so good at what he does now that I would imagine he probably doesn't have to put that much thought into it. But yeah, what's the thought process, I guess? What's the thought process behind any given shot that he takes? What perspective is he looking at when he makes decisions? Is it based purely on what the director's telling him, or is he making his own decisions subjectively about what characters are feeling, or what the situation, the mood that the situation calls for? Is he putting all of those things into a basket, or is it all just intuitive? Does somebody like him does what he does mostly with intuition? Yeah, I don't know. I think that'd be a good conversation, I think. But yeah, something along those lines. What did you say to Lance Henriksen? So Lance Henriksen, you can't see it on my video, but I have a picture up there of him signed. I think he's a really great guy, really great actor. One of these guys, you can take a small part and really do something with it. You can often be the most memorable thing in a film. I went to a film and comic convention in Manchester, and so Lance Henriksen was on one table and Robert Englund was on another, and there was this long queue kind of down the middle of them. So I joined the queue. I wanted to see Lance Henriksen. That's what I'd gone there for. I've done an intro. I'm not explaining myself well here at all. So I think what Jordan is kind of alluding to is the fact that I do have this intro that I occasionally put on the front of my videos, which Lance Henriksen did for me. I asked him if he would do an intro for my channel, and he did. He was really game for it. But anyway, I joined this queue, this really long queue. I was getting to the end of the queue. Finally, I could just see Lance Henriksen in arm's length. And then the guy that's kind of organising the queue said, next, and he pointed at Robert Englund, and I'm like, I don't want to see Robert Englund, I want to see Lance Henriksen. And he's like, well, just go and see him then. And so there was no queue for Lance Henriksen. This queue that I'd been studying for ages was for Robert Englund, but I'd said quite loudly, I don't want to see Robert Englund, I want to see Lance Henriksen. And I'm pretty sure Lance Henriksen heard that. I'm pretty sure Robert Englund heard that as well. No offence to Robert Englund, but he's, other than Nightmare on Elm Street, the first film, he's not really done anything for me that I gravitate towards. Again, there's nothing against him. It's just that's not really my bag. I don't want to meet him. I want to meet the guy who was in Terminator, who was in Aliens, who was in Near Dark, who was in the TV show Millennium. That's who I wanted to meet. So that came out. I think that got a little smile from Henriksen, who kind of welcomed me over, and we just chatted for about 10 minutes. I told him, the things that I'd seen him in personally that I thought were awesome. Again, the films I just mentioned, and I think I asked him about his experience on Near Dark. And he went into he told me about how he came up with the character. He told me the backstory for the character, about him being this soldier who fought in the American Civil War, and how he died, or he was dying on the battlefield, and he was given a choice to become a vampire. And so I can't remember all of it now, but he was telling me about all this backstory he'd worked out. A lot of it that didn't make it into the film. There was one line of dialogue that made it into the film that did allude to that, but that all came out of the backstory that Henrickson created for this character. So yeah, that was an interesting look at his process, and just an interesting chat, to be honest. And I have a book, an autographed book, that I let people sign if I like them. So usually I go to these things, not often. I've been to a few, and I'll have a chat with them. I'll try and have a chat with the people I'm meeting, and if they're welcoming, and if they're nice, and if they seem like genuine people, then I'll pull the book out and I'll say, "Can you autograph that?" If not, I'll just get them to autograph a picture, and I'll sell it. I don't know, but Henrickson was just really nice. He was a really nice dude. He gave his time, and he was happy to sit there for a good 10-15 minutes just chatting to me, and I felt comfortable by the end of that, just asking. I just said, "Look, I do feel free to say no, because I'm sure you get asked this kind of thing all the time, so I'd understand if you can't or don't want to, but I have a YouTube channel, and it would be really awesome, really kick-ass, if I could have an intro on there by your good self." And so he was like, "Yeah, okay, what do you want me to say?" So I told him what to say. He said it, but ad-libbed a bit, threw a bit more on there, which just all respect to the guy. It was a great moment. It really was. It's probably the best meeting I've had with someone in the film world that I've kind of looked up to, because he was just a genuine nice dude. So yeah, there you go. Am I greedy asking this many questions? Yes you are. What director would you like to direct your biopic? I'd say Norman Jewison, because he's done a few biopics and he's pretty good at them. One of them is my favourite, which is The Hurricane. So yeah, Norman Jewison. And finally, do you think Guillermo del Toro grew up a fan of Bros, and that's why he cast him in Blade 2? No, I don't. But I will be reviewing the Blade films quite shortly on my channel, so that was a nice segue. Anyway, there you go. That is it. That is the Q&A for my patrons. This is the end of Patrons Week. I will probably do one of these again because I think it's gone down pretty well. But yeah, for now, thank you for watching. Thank you to my patrons, and thank you to those who gave me some questions for this. But until next time, cracking.